Pokerogue is a browser-based roguelike Pokemon fan game in which you battle through 200 floors of Pokemon, trainers, and secret third things, culminating with a final battle against Eternamax Eternatus at the 200th floor. So why not try to beat this 200 floor gauntlet, known for being far harder than any mainline Pokemon game, using only Eevee, a Pokemon with a BST lower than Spoink. Now at first glance this challenge seems near impossible, however the unique mechanics of Pokerogue make the Eevee's odds seem far more in its favor, the largest of which being the fact that we aren't really using Eevee. In Pokerogue, you can choose to use the partner Eevee from Let's Go Eevee on the starter select screen. This starter Eevee has significantly higher stats than its usual variation, making the future of this run seem far less bleak. The next major benefit that Eevee receives from Pokerogue is access to two incredible egg moves, being Boom Burst and No Retreat. No Retreat boosts all of the user's stats besides evasion and accuracy by one stage upon usage, with the side effect of trapping the user. However, due to the fact that this challenge is a solo run where switching up is impossible, this consequence is effectively null. Boom Burst, on the other hand, is simply an 140 base power AoE normal type special move, which is already incredibly powerful on Eevee. However, this absurd move is then further enhanced by Eevee's adaptability, bringing it straight from 140 power to 280, sometimes even allowing you to take out resists in a single hit. Lastly, we have Eevee's passive ability, Pickup. Passive abilities are essentially secondary abilities that you can possess at the same time as your regular ability. Eevee's passive, being Pickup, allows you to obtain one of your opponent's items after any battle. This is an incredible advantage to have, as opposing Pokemon can often have incredibly useful items, such as the experience-boosting Lucky Eggs or various berries. With that all said, let's get into the first, and hopefully last run. The run starts off exactly as one would expect when you have an 140 base power adaptability boosted stab move. However, I instead opt to use Zippy Zap most of the time, Eevee's third and soon to be replaced egg move, to preserve power points on Boom Burst. The power point issue is soon alleviated as after the Wave 5 trainer battle, I obtain a PP up, boosting Boom Burst's power points to 12. The only other significant event in the first area is obtaining the map, which allows you to choose your path at any given crossroads. This is one of the most important items of the run, as it allows you to avoid dangerous biomes such as the fighting-infested dojo and the ghost-filled graveyard. My first fight with the rival, being Eevee, goes without any issue as expected, and soon after I get one of the most important items of the game, being a vitamin. Due to the fact this is a solo Eevee run and not a solo every Eeveelution and Gigantamax Eevee run, these vitamins are going to be only one of two ways to increase Eevee's stats. After easily beating the boss Nidoran, we head to the second biome of the run, the Plains. The Plains first appeared to pose no more a threat than the town did. However, that all changed with the Greedent's special encounter at Wave 14. Special encounters are unique events that function differently to any wild encounter or trainer battle. That's about as specific as a definition I can give you, because these events range from getting mugged by a Greedent to just a sale at the local department store. After feebly struggling against the Greedent thrice, I decided it is my best course of action to just attempt to reason with the beast to recuperate some of my berries and move on with the run. I then hatch a Kieran with 31 special attack IVs and Dragon Energy as an egg move, which doesn't affect the run at all, but I think it was worth mentioning anyway. I just thought it was cool. Sadly, nothing as cool as hatching a Kieran happens for the rest of the biome. However, I do gain an HP up and defeat the gym leader Silent with no issue. I then choose to head to the Metropolis biome afterwards at the subsequent crossroads, as an attempt to obtain Silk Scars with my pickup ability due to the high amount of normal types in the biome. After refusing an extra party member from an old man and clearing the second Eevee fight of the run, nothing seemingly eventful happens for the rest of the biome. After bypassing the level cap via a rare candy and reaching the level requirement for Bite, I neglect to learn the move due to being able to obtain a far superior anti-ghost option later in the game. This single decision ends the entire run. Unaware of the horrific mistake I just made, I proceed to the slum biome where I clear through every floor without issue, right up until the first evil team battle of the run. This Macrocosmos trainer possessed a Galarian Yamask. Galarian Yamask's ghost and ground typing granted immunities to both normal and electric moves, those of which are the only type of offensive moves Eevee currently possesses, sadly cutting the run short at Wave 35. Anyway, the second run starts off significantly better than the first, as in the first 10 waves I obtain a Calcium, an HP up, 2 PP up, some Zinc, and an XP charm. After maxing out my Boom Burst PP in the Plains, nothing particularly interesting happens until I encounter a flock of Delibird at Wave 16. These Delibird will give you specific items depending on whether you choose to give them a berry, or a Vibro Seed, money, or a held item. I chose to give them a berry, as candy jars make it significantly easier to bypass the level cap, allowing Eevee to potentially gain a stat advantage against opposing wild Pokemon. I then unlock the ability to find Terra Shards and Terrastalize via the Terra Orb and clear through the rest of the plains with ease. After heading to the lake, I cleared the second rival fight of the run and obtained one of the most essential items in the game, being the Eevee Light. The Eevee Light allows the holder to gain 50% more special and physical defense. However, this only works if the user is not fully evolved. This singular item is what makes this run possible, and it effectively increases Eevee's base stat total from a mere 435, far more respectable 531. After deciding to temporarily make Eevee a water type via Terra Shard, I encountered a chest which contained an incredibly useful Silk Scarf. Using the increased normal damage that the Silk Scarf provides, I handily take care of the boss Wishy-Washy and make it to the 4th biome of the run, the construction site. My decision to use the Water Terra Shard proves useful, as I am able to clear through the normally dangerous fighting type folk biome with ease. I then obtained Bite to evade a similar ending to the last run and defeat the first Team Star grunt of the game. I then head into the far less dangerous Power Plant, where I find the Wobbuffet Whack-O-Matic special encounter. In this special encounter, you attempt to reduce the Wobbuffet's HP to the lowest possible value without knocking it out in 3 turns. The lower HP the Wobbuffet has, the greater the reward. However, as I soon devastatingly realize, it is impossible for me to gain any prizes from this encounter. Pokerogue's RNG system causes events such as paralysis and critical hits to happen on the same turns, no matter the inputs. So on the first hit, I will always land a critical hit on the Wobbuffet, and on the second and third, I will always get paralyzed, so I decide to just move on from the encounter. Following that tragedy, I easily defeat the electric gym leader Elisa and head to the factory biome. On the first floor of the factory, I obtain a Reviver Seed, which is an incredible item that revives the holder and restores half of their max HP after they faint. This item is especially good for people like me who are absolutely horrendous at the game. After clearing through a few floors of the factory, I begin the third rival fight of the run, which I clear so easily that I just spend a turn using Wish so I can spend less money on potions. I then get to choose between the Master Ball tier Shiny Charm and a PP up at wave 57. However, this is a solo run, so the PP up is ironically infinitely more valuable. Following my defeat of the boss Clang in 2 Boom Bursts, I head to the plains, where I encounter the first Team Star boss, Ortega. In this truly incredible battle with Ortega, I click No Retreat once, and then proceed to click Boom Burst 9 times and win. The Starmobile actually managed to take 3 Boom Bursts though, which was very impressive. After my battle with Ortega, I managed to obtain one of the best items in the game, the Berry Pouch. Berry Pouches allow you to essentially recycle berries 30% of the time, and they can stack up to 3 times to allow for almost infinite berry usage. This is incredibly useful in Pokerogue, as you can hold several berries at once and can have multiple of said berries. This allows you to recover to almost full HP and gain several stat boosts if your Pokemon manage to survive an attack. Following my arrival in the metropolis, I encountered an unusually strong Raticate, which I one-shotted because being unusually strong isn't enough to let you take a +1 adaptability boosted Boom Burst. After using superhuman willpower to choose a Nugget over an Egg Voucher Plus, I obtain another Iron and Candy Jar before challenging my third gym leader of the run, Iono. The first few turns of the gym battle go about as you would expect. Set up with No Retreat, take out Jolteon with Boom Burst, etc, etc. However, Iono's Electrode has the ability Soundproof, meaning that it cannot be affected by sound-based moves like Boom Burst, so I instead slowly bite her Electrode to death. Now at this point, I should have the bite alternative I was holding out for in one of partner Eevee's signature moves being Batty Bad, an incredible move that sets up Reflect while dealing significant special Dark type damage. The reason I don't have this move already is that I chose the wrong Eevee form in this run, a fact that I will eventually realize and take immense psychic damage from. After defeating the Electrode, which sadly paralyzed my Eevee with Thunder, I was swiftly taken out by the opposing Kilowattrel, ending the run instantaneously. Is what would have happened if I didn't have a Reviver Seed, which cured my paralysis and bought me enough time to use Wish and No Retreat, allowing me to clear up the remains of Iono's team, after which I headed to the slum. In the slum, I absent-mindedly used a Ghost Terra Shard despite the fact that nothing in the area threatened normal types due to my severe competitive Pokemon Brain Rot. I was then nearly 2-shot by an opposing Meowscarada, cementing my terrestrialization as a horrendous mistake. However, following this blunder, I then obtain a second Silk Scarf from an opposing Skuntank, so everything is fine actually. After being faced down by several dark types that would have been far easier to deal with if not for my concerning lack of brain cells, I then get a third Silk Scarf, bringing the effective base power of Boom Burst up to an incredibly absurd 672. This insane damage output allowed me to clear through the boss muck unscathed, after a few Boom Burst misses of course. I once again head to the construction site where I obtain a 4th Silk Scarf. I genuinely don't know how this is even possible. I doubt I'll get any more this entire video. After getting my 4th Silk Scarf, I enter the 4th rival fight of the run, where I surprisingly am not able to one-shot everything due to my rival's Goldango. However, Bite disposes of the Cheese String Man after a few hits, and the rest of Ivy's fight is cleaned up by a few boom bursts afterwards. The Wave 100 boss Machamp meets a similar fate to Ivy's team as I head on to the power plant. Following the first encounter of the power plant, I choose to obtain a Mega Bracelet, as removing it from the item pool slightly increases my chances of getting actually useful Rogue tier items. I then enter a double battle against a Goldango and Kabutops, which I promptly lose to via a crit Make It Rain from Goldango. On my second attempt, I make sure to take out the Goldango before it can crit me, and I promptly win the battle. After the nearly run-ending experience against a Goldango, nothing particularly interesting happens aside from me attempting to learn Batty Bad via Memory Mushroom and coming to the devastating realization that I'm not even using the partner Eevee. In spite of the fact that I'm using the wrong Pokemon, I continue along with the run, clearing through the Wave 110 Gym Leader Clement with 7 consecutive boom bursts. Following my battle with Clement, I entered the factory where I once again battled Ortega, and actually lost my first attempt this time due to getting crit twice in a row. On my second attempt, I manipulated the RNG by using Wish instead of Boom Burst after Tinkaton switched in, preventing the 2 critical hits that ended my previous attempt. I was then able to easily clear out the rest of Ortega's team. After Ortega's defeat, I am finally able to challenge the Team Star boss, Penny, who proceeds to destroy me in every possible timeline. Her Jolteon unfortunately lands Thunder and paralyzes me before I can even move, and no matter if I attack or use no retreat, I am then immediately knocked out by any of the 5 other members of her team, ending the run instantaneously. The third run starts off relatively insignificant, with the only major item I get in the town biome being the Amulet Coin, boosting the amount of money I receive by 20%. The plains seem to share a similar fate until I roll a Master Ball, and then ignore it in favor of an Ether, as it literally does nothing for this run. Sadly, nothing of true significance happens in the plains, so I move on to the grassy field. In the field, I encounter an unusually strong Nuzleaf at Wave 22. So I challenge the boss and obtain its berries. Afterwards, I choose to learn the move Sizzly Slide, as its guaranteed burn effect effectively allows Eevee to take twice the physical hits. After learning Sizzly Slide, I obtain one of the best items in the game in the Healing Charm. The Healing Charm boosts healing from any source by 10%. This item is less useful when you only have one Pokemon, considering its universal nature is less valuable. However, it is still incredible for this run. Following Ivy fight goes as all the previous have, this time I get a Silk Scarf directly after the battle. Before challenging the Wave 30 Gym Leader, I obtained both the move Bite and a Candy Jar, greatly improving my matchup against Ghost types and my ability to bypass the level cap. I then defeat Erica as about as handily as one would expect and head on to the Tall Grass. Almost immediately after entering the Tall Grass biome, I get a Dynamax band for the same reasons I obtained the Mega Bracelet in the previous run. I then finally learn Batty Bad and encounter a strange woman who I promptly ignore, as acknowledging her would cause your Pokemon to be replaced and would therefore violate the run. I then defeat the boss Rotom Mow with relative ease and head on to the forest. In the forest, I encounter 3 separate trainers and choose to battle the strongest of the 3, being the Gym Leader Katie. I then set up no retreat and handily defeat her with a combination of Boom Burst and Batty Bad, acquiring a Mega Bracelet in the process. I then get 2 Silk Scarves in a row before one-shotting the boss Grovyle with what is at this point a 448 base power move. Following the Grovyle's defeat, I enter the jungle biome, where the third rival battle ends exactly as expected. However, this time the Wave 55 Ivy fight nets me a Reviver Seed, greatly boosting my odds of survival for the rest of the run. At Wave 57, I then obtain the incredible Multi-Lens, which allows your moves to hit twice at the cost of a significant amount of power. The Multi-Lens does seem like it outright nerfs your Pokemon, however it greatly improves your matchup into boss Pokemon due to how you need to do exponentially more damage to break through multiple boss health bars in a single hit. After obtaining the Multi-Lens, I clear through Gym Leader Ramos' team and head to the temple. In said temple, I obtain another Silk Scarf almost immediately, because the base 440 power move wasn't enough. The increased normal type damage allowed me to easily clear through the Wave 62 Aether Foundation employee, which nets me a 5th Silk Scarf. The boost in power from the extra Silk Scarf allowed me to clear through the last Aether employees and their admin Faba, getting a 2 extra Boom Burst PP along the way. I then used superhuman willpower to re-roll and get a nugget instead of taking the Egg Voucher Premium, defeating Tapu Koko and moving on to the desert afterward. Nothing particularly noteworthy happens in the desert. I just get some vitamins, a focus band, defeat the boss Regirock, and leave. Following the underwhelming Badlands, I obtain a wide lens and more importantly a map. Afterwards, I gained a 6th Silk Scarf and cleared through Gym Leader Sabrina's team without issue, allowing me to proceed to the forest. Once I entered the forest, I obtained the Silk Scarf, an Eevee and some zinc, just in time for the 4th Ivy fight of the run. I then proceed to clear through Ivy's team as if I somehow had a 784 base power move. I am then challenged by a clown who somehow has a bug steel type Blacephalon, who I managed to defeat at the cost of my reviver seed, allowing me to proceed to the boss Wo-Chien and head to the meadow. In the meadow, I get an 8th Silk Scarf and my first Golden Patch, an item that allows me to earn a portion of the damage I deal as money. That is all that happened in this biome. Honestly, these later areas get kind of boring because I can't really explain much. It's devastating, but please stick around, it would be cool. Thanks, alright, bye. After the meadow, I entered the plains, in which I got my second multi-lens of the run before encountering Lusamine, whom I easily defeated, granting me the reward of the critical hit boosting scope lens. Following Lusamine's defeat, I am challenged by the gym leader, Elaine, which results in a positively exhilarating battle where I click no retreat once and then boom burst 6 times. Anyways, the grassy field is the biggest nothing burger of an item so far. The only significant thing that happens is that I get leftovers as a prize for defeating the boss Snorlax, which is great but also literally the only thing that happened in this biome. After the grassy field, I encountered the GTS in the tall grass, where I exchanged my focus band for a second healing charm, further boosting my Eevee's longevity. I then gain a Soul Dew item, increasing the effect of my modest nature, meaning I now have 20% more special attack instead of 10. I then get a Shell Bell, an item that allows the user to recover 1/8 of the damage they deal, increasing Eevee's longevity even further than before. Once I obtained the Shell Bell, I defeated a boss Greedent, granting my Eevee a reviver seed and allowing me to defeat the boss Lokix and move on to the forest. The forest contains the 5th major rival battle, which is the first one that genuinely poses a threat to the run, as this is when Ivy starts getting access to boss Pokemon. Ivy leads with her Water Terrestrial Squawkoval, who copies my no retreat boost due to having Opportunist as a passive ability, however I managed to one-shot it anyway. Ivy then sends out her Claw, who is promptly decimated by a Boom Burst. However, Ivy then sends out her failed Rayquaza, known for ending runs in an instant. If I don't play this right, the run could very well end right here. I one-shot the Rayquaza. It falls to only 2 out of 3 Boom Bursts as well. All of the significantly less impressive members of her team fall just as the ones before them. Following the emotional roller coaster that was the 5th Ivy battle, I gain a Berry Pouch and promptly defeat the gym leader Berg, allowing me to enter the meadow. In the meadow, literally nothing happens. I just enter, beat the boss Flapple, and leave. In the far more interesting plains, I once again defeat Lusamine, granting me the Lock Capsule item. The Lock Capsule allows item rarities to persist after a reroll at the cost of a significantly increased reroll price, making it far easier to get specific items. Following the Lusamine fight, I then get a Grip Claw, giving me a small chance to steal opponents' items upon hit, and 2 vitamins from a mysterious, vaguely shady individual. As you likely expect at this point, I handily take care of the boss Mightyena at wave 170, and once again enter the grassy field. In the grassy field, I gain both a Carbos and an HP up, after which I dispose of the gym leader Erica with ease, allowing me to move on to the final stretch of the game. Waves 180 through 190 are unique compared to the rest of the game, as during these waves you encounter 4 Elite Four members and a champion from any possible region, ranging anywhere from Kanto to the Blueberry Academy. My first Elite Four battle against Aaron starts off with my Eevee taking a devastating close combat from a Heracross. However, I am able to strike back with Boom Burst and recover most of my Eevee's HP due to my abundance of healing items. I am then able to outspeed the next Heracross and set up on Aaron's Sizzler, allowing me to win the battle from there. Bertha's battle goes similarly, as I am able to one-shot every member of her team besides one after a no retreat, and her Sandygeist only manages to take 2 baddie bads before fainting. I also get an Amulet coin, which isn't particularly useful at the end of the run, but I'll take it anyway. Afterwards, I clear through Flint with literally no issue. A clean 6 Boomers takes care of his team, and I move on to Lucian, who goes down just as easily. Lastly, we have the almighty champion Cynthia, renowned for being one of the strongest Chainers in the entire franchise's history, who goes down just as easily as the rest of the Elite Four. Frankly, Aaron was harder, which says a lot considering he's a bug specialist. Anyway, after clearing through the Pokemon League, I enter the End Biome, the last 10 waves of the run. In these last 10 waves, my only goal is to gain as many items as possible to prepare myself for the final battle against Eternatus, and also Ivy too, I guess. I know Ivy battle goes exactly the same as the first 5. I one-shot her entire party. Easily, including the shiny Mega Rayquaza with 4 HP burst, confirming Ivy as a fraud. Following the Ivy fight, I managed to get both an X special attack and another Calcium before I finally reached the rare shiny Eternatus. So, for the uninitiated, in Pokerogue, some Pokemon can have rare and epic shiny variations, which are 2 times and 4 times rare respectively. Couldn't catch Eternatus anyway, as you only gain the ability to do so after you catch every other Pokemon on the starter select screen. Still hurts just as much though. Anyways, after 349 waves of battling, the final encounter with Eternatus begins. I lead with No Retreat to boost all of my stats by 1 stage, along with Batty Bat and Wish to increase my survivability, as Eternatus attacks with a combination of Sludge Bomb and Flamethrower, dealing minimal damage. Eternatus then goes down to 6 Boomers at the end. And just like that, I beat Pokerogue using only Eevee. If I'm being 100% honest, I only won the 3rd round due to getting lucky enough to get 8 Silk Scarves and 2 multi-lenses. If I had gotten less of either, I would have likely lost to any of the major hurdles in the run. Anyways, if this video gets something absurd like 10,000 views, I'll do a run with like no passives, egg moves, item drops, and only 1 Pokemon. Lastly, if you enjoyed the video, it would be greatly appreciated if you were to like and subscribe. And if you don't, feel free to dislike and leave a comment telling me how I can improve my videos. And with that out of the way, thank you and goodbye.